Hello everyone and welcome back to my next concept and analysis video. So for today's talk, we're going to be looking over 7 mental toughness tips from a former Navy SEAL trainer. But the concept in general that we'll be looking to outline is mental toughness. So the reason I've gone with mental toughness is, it's just such a transferable skill and quality to have within ourselves. It can benefit us in many different situations in our life, many different challenges that we face, whether we are willingly putting ourselves towards a challenge or a challenge is coming our way unwillingly. Mental toughness is just something that is great to have and develop to give you that grit to get through hard times, okay? So a key thing to remember in developing mental toughness is, as I said, we can either look for things to develop it within ourselves, such as disciplines. You have people who go to the gym, for example, stick to a certain schedule, a certain routine with their training, whether they feel like it or not. That's an example of developing mental toughness. Going to work, whether you're feeling like it or not, dealing with certain people at work, whether you're up for it or not, all those kinds of qualities of facing those uncomfortable sensations within ourselves repetitively without quitting is how we develop that muscle in our mind. So it's a great quality to have and possess. That's why I'd like to outline it today. So, and I've gone ahead and gone with this person's perspective because, to be honest, from what I've learned and gathered, Navy SEAL people are some of the hardest people that I think exist, to be honest. Just their training regimen and the lifestyle that they have to perform when they are in those scenarios of training and combat. They're very, very strong people and they're to be respected. So I think this gives us a good benchmark, taking some tips from this individual considering his background. So what we're going to go through is just each of these tips that this person is going to outline, and I'm just going to get to each of the points as quickly and concisely as possible, and we're just going to get through the best bits, all right, together here. So with the first tip, this person outlines that you should do the things you fear a lot. I think this is a great start in developing mental toughness because you have to think of, how uncomfortable would you feel facing things that you fear a lot. A lot of people avoid those things, right? So that in order for you to simply face it and get through that challenge is already developing that grit in you to become mentally tough. And as it states here, the thing that causes trepidation quickly turns to trite if you do it enough. So basically what it means here is that, things which cause and provoke anxiety in you, they might look like big monsters to you in the beginning when you haven't overcome them yet, right? You're not on top of those things. But if you can face them enough, so like throw yourself at those obstacles enough to the point where it becomes dull, that's when you've gained that mental toughness to overcome it. So, and it's kind of like in my last video where I was talking about in overcoming anxiety, right? It's just a matter of repetitively facing the thing that causes you anxiety or that causes you to feel uncomfortable until you experience a sense of normality in those situations rather than stress. So do the things you fear a lot, or you could say do the things that make you uncomfortable a lot, all right? So if there's certain disciplines you have to attend to, like I explained, whether you feel like it or not, do it whenever you should be doing it. So that's a great first tip here. Okay, so the second tip is have a hero. So having a hero, in a sense, you could look at it as like having a mentor, having an idol, someone you aspire to, a framework of a being to look at, to project yourself towards, like to embody that, to be that, a similar kind of person to that person you're viewing. It's good because it helps remind you of how you should be and the way to be, and it gives you a benchmark, right? So you can know how to perform in your day. So when you're slipping off the mark, you can remind yourself, no, this is what I'm trying to aspire to. You could visualize this person, how they perform, and you can kind of envision yourself in their shoes and how they'd be handling the situation you're in that current moment. Okay. So yep, they've just gone through and explaining this concept a bit. Choosing a role model and a hero who has accomplished the kind of success you would like to have makes it easier to believe you can do it as well. It's already been done. What one person can do, another person can do. So it's also a good reminder that, you know, just because you're seeing people who are very accomplished in their life, it doesn't mean you cannot do that. They're a human being as you're a human being. We all have those similar aspects as humans and those capacities. It's just that people have dedicated themselves to certain crafts long enough and over time enough to perfect themselves at their arts, which is why there's different qualities out there, okay? Different qualities of performances, you could say. So a good, nice tip, have a hero, have a mentor to aspire to. So tip 3, maintain a trusted inner circle. A trusted inner circle goes beyond people you believe won't betray you by not putting out your dirty laundry on the street. You need an inner circle of people who hold you accountable and then help you clean your dirty laundry before it becomes a real public problem. So, you know, we could tie this back to the saying where people surround themselves with yes people and the threat that poses to. So if you're just surrounded by people who are always going to agree with you just to make you happy, always say nice things just to keep you happy, that's actually a detriment, because then we won't know the aspects of ourselves that are lacking and that we need to build and improve upon. So that's why it's good to have objective people in your circle, people who you know are truthful, have your best interest at heart. You know, we're not talking about people who are going to put you down, harshly criticize you, but people who are going to keep it real with you, basically. And when you look for areas of self-improvement and you're going to seek advice, try to seek those kinds of people in your life. People who you know are just going to be honest and not sugarcoat things. And it's just good for us to be mature at those times and take that criticism on well. And that could also be an aspect which leads you to developing mental toughness, because, you know, as you know, it's not always easy to take criticism, especially when we're very connected to something, especially if it could be our character, for example. Sometimes it's hard not to take that personally. But, you know, even challenging yourself in that sense and getting over those uncomfortable feelings of being judged and criticized is another thing that can help you build mental toughness in your life. So tip 4 is tell your war stories proudly. Telling yourself out loud about all the times you overcame adversity, affliction, and calamity focuses your mind and emotions on your victories. Your conscious mind is reminded that you have a track record of handling difficulties and you've done it before. It's easier to do it again. It's already been done. This we could tie back to kind of positive self-talk, positive visualization. You're reminding yourself of your strengths and your qualities, adversity you've overcome in the past. So you're kind of your own cheerleader in the moment when you're going through a tough time, to keep yourself focused on the right things. And it gives you a confidence boost just to remind yourself of your qualities and what you can do and who you are. Okay? So how does this tie to mental toughness? Because this ties into perseverance, allowing us to remember our strengths and what we're capable of will give us more confidence in the moment to push through difficult times. And by not quitting, we're developing more mental toughness. On to tip 5, never say I'll try. Trying is lying. Have you ever invited someone to a party you were having and they said they would try to make it? Did they show up? Chances are they didn't. So what we're talking about here is a all or nothing attitude, and sometimes it's good to be like that. Sometimes you have to go all in to achieve something and not hold back and push yourself as hard as you can. And we can relate this to setting big goals, achieving big dreams, and kind of not being on the fence about things, or 50-50 with the energy we are bringing to certain scenarios in our life. So don't be afraid to go all in, and use the right terminology in your vocabulary too, just to help you develop more of that kind of a mentality in your life. So be cautious with the kind of words you're using to describe yourself and what you're going to achieve, and bring your awareness to it and try to change it for the better, because I believe that will help you with this too. So great tip number 5 there. Number 6, this is a bit of a funny one. Be the pig, not the chicken. On the breakfast plate of bacon and eggs, the chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. Commitment is the bedrock of the resilient mind. The resilient minded, without it, humans will cut and run as soon as the going gets difficult. So yeah, commitment is a very key thing, isn't it, in mental toughness? Because what happens when situations get unpleasant, uncomfortable? Most of the time, people will shy away, people will turn their back on it, and, you know, run for safety, shelter, cover, pleasant feelings, right? So usually that's tied to kind of an avoidance strategy. When something bad's going down, people just want to avoid it, and then those feelings go away and they feel better. But sometimes we have to put ourselves in situations that are uncomfortable to challenge ourselves, grow bigger and better, in a sense. All right, so commitment is key to that. We must remind ourselves why we are doing what we are doing, and that no matter what, we're not going to quit until we get that thing done. Okay, so yeah, the chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. Remember that saying. And tip 7, very nice words. Have courage and never give up. Courage isn't the lack of fear, it's the choice to override the fear. Couple that with the quality that refuses to give up, and the battle is nearly won at the onset. Courage and persistence are like the Batman and Superman of resilience. If you are courageous enough to face adversity and persistent enough to find a way to stay in the fight long enough, a solution almost always presents itself. So guys, this is a fantastic final tip to end the 7 ways on how to develop mental toughness. Having courage and never giving up. Fantastic qualities these are. So we need the courage to face the biggest challenges that may be coming our way in our life. Be strong within ourselves, stable, no matter how things appear. Not hold back and push forward, and keep going forward no matter how hard we're hit. And, you know, that comes into never giving up, never quitting, as I said in the previous tips as well. As long as we never give up, we never truly lose, okay? We want to leave it all on the line and give our very best. And by applying these kinds of values, and even values that are similar to these, that's going to give us the qualities we need to have that perspective of being a mentally tough person, and to perceive things that come in our way in that sense, right? Not as a quitter, not as a weak person who cannot handle things. We want to be looking at ourselves as someone who's resilient and not a quitter, okay? So these are the 7 tips that have been outlined to do with developing mental toughness. I hope this is of benefit to you. It's just a very great quality to have, and it's always necessary, and it just benefits you in all kinds of circumstances in life. It's very transferable, and the more mentally tough you are, the more you're going to get out of your life. Personally, for me, this is something I emphasize a lot in my life ever since I was younger too, whether it was through sports, through education, you know, being persistent, not quitting, going through difficult challenges. I believe it made me a better person in my life, and I'm very sure it will make you a better person too. So go ahead, apply these tips, and let me know in the comment section down below how that goes for you. We have come here to a short clip on David Goggins, and he's going to share his perspective on mental toughness And if you guys don't know David Goggins, I highly recommend you go search and read up on him. He's pretty much the epitome of mental toughness. And when we went through those tips, one of them said, have a hero, and we we're discussing about having a mentor to aspire to. For me personally, David Goggins is someone I look to aspire to have his kind of traits and qualities, because it's just a very motivational and inspirational figure. And yeah, even learning about his life story, it's just opened my mind up about how tough we can truly become as people. So let's have a look at what he has to share with us on mental toughness.
Hey, it's Eric Van Horn here with David Goggins. I love your book. Like, what would you say to somebody that's like just beginning the mentally tough journey?
So we all have this nice list of things that we kind of shy away from in life. My big thing about being mentally strong is you have to pick those things you don't want to do and start to check them off the box, man. It's so hard. It's so easy just to go to that nice comfort zone, the path of least resistance. So then your mind starts to get more and more weaker and weaker and weaker. And you wonder, why the fuck am I not getting tougher? Because you're choosing this nice, happy path with nice, comfortable beds and all this other shit over here on this side. Over here is that side that we fear. You gotta make that fear list over here, start to conquer it, start to overcome it, start to callous your mind, dig into all these different things, and that's how you do it, man.
It's not theory, is it?
You know it ain't theory, man. It's all practice, brother.
So there you have it, guys. You heard it from the man yourself, David Goggins, sharing some tips on his view of developing mental toughness. He shared some good points there too, right? He's talking about making a list and facing it all the time. And he talked about avoiding weakness by succumbing to states of pleasure, things that make us feel comfortable, things which lead us to a weak character, and it's a weaker path for us in life, right? So find things that challenge you and find things that will test you often, okay? And good luck on your journey to developing mental toughness.